Okay, so the title of this presentation is Future Efficiency or Efficiency, a Real Shock. So to give a little rundown about what this presentation is going to be about, as you can see, there's a nice little Tesla in front in the first page. I wanted to basically talk, just about EVs, electric vehicles, and if they're right for this day and age we're in, or if they're not right. Personally, I don't think so. I just don't think it's the proper time. I don't think it's just, the right time to do so. But here we go. So the first subject I wanted to touch on was the charging time. And I did obviously a little script that you guys can see here. So it reads as follows. When it comes to electric vehicles, they have perks, right? Well, unfortunately, a big con is the charging time. How can we make a car that is supposed to be the future when we can't even cut our charging time in half? The average time to fully charge an electric car is about 8 hours for a car with a 60 kilowatt battery. This is even if you have your own charging station at home, which can be a little costly, or you're using a public one. Now, I know what you're thinking. Okay, we get it. You're not a fan. Well, trust me, they are pretty sick. But if you plan on throwing all this cash on a car, wouldn't you want to just, be fast, like a gas car, and like the way I worded here, like a stop and go scenario. We're just pumping in the gas and, takes no more than 2-3 minutes of that, because honestly, I would literally love that, to have something that looks nice, drives fast, and, is the envy of all your friends. I mean, it's really gotten to a point where it's almost like buying the new iPhone, and it literally is that at this point. So the next slide, if I can get this to work, is cost. Now in like the previous slide, like how I mentioned, charging time, it doesn't matter whether it's at home, or anywhere really, but let's say it's at home, okay? It's costly, okay? Let's say you're decided to buy one at home, you're gonna have it installed, just for, I believe, for getting the little charging station at home, it's about between $500 to $800. And then just to have it installed, I think, and don't quote me on this, I know it's different places, but different places, of course. One of them that I had heard, they were charging between, I want to say roughly $3 to $5 grand just to have it installed. And this is like a word from a friend, so don't completely quote me. And now, like I'm saying on the slide, it's like, you're already paying 80 grand for this thing for a Model X. I mean, come on. Think about having the charging kit at home. Imagine all the electricity you're going to waste. And on top of that, like, how much more money you're going to be spending. I mean, is it really worth it? I mean, I don't know. Personally, it's just, I think even if you have the money, it's not something that's suitable, especially if it's gonna take you up to 8 hours to charge this thing. Yeah, not so quite sure about it. But even like if you go to a charging station, okay, they're charging you 25 cents per kilowatt, okay? Well, on like average, just 250 miles would be like 20 some bucks. So imagine you're gonna travel that much more. You're going on a trip, let's say, I don't know, leisure trip, or, it's maybe, even if it's a company car, even if they're paying for it, imagine all the money you're spending. I mean, the cost alone is scary. You already put down this money on this beautiful car, and I'm gonna have to put money into putting gas, quote unquote, to charge this vehicle. So it just makes it that much more expensive. So, which brings me to my next slide, okay? Obviously, the quote says it all, okay, Maybe they don't have you fully on the boat yet, but what about accidents? Okay, so how can we prevent these? I mean, yes, accidents literally happen all the time. You know, you're shopping, you're going into your house, you're doing this, you're that. It can literally happen, you know, like you can literally die doing the things you love. And it sucks, you know. As I put this little quote on here, curiosity killed the cat. And I'll read off what I have here. Let me start by saying, as humans, we are very curious. And I'm not sure how familiar all of you are with, you know, the functions on the car, but they do have autopilot. And back in May 7th, 2016, a man named Joshua Brown died at the wheel while having autopilot on, okay? So basically what happened, a semi got in front of the Tesla and the car failed to put on the brakes, ending in his death. You know, and the guy literally worshipped his car. He was, you know, addicted to it. It was his thing. He loved cars and he loved Tesla for what they were, you know, and to have this happen to him, you know, tragic. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide. Okay, this last slide, I did want to reiterate that whether I'm a fan or not, and obviously I am not a huge fan of the EV community. I do believe that it is important for us as future technicians, or you know, current technicians as a whole, that we all learn the trades, we all learn how to work on electric vehicles, because it is very important. It is something that we should look into. Obviously, the world is constantly changing, and even though I don't believe it is the right time to, you know, convert fully into electric vehicles in the near future or far future, whichever it will be, we are going to be seeing all these cars on the road, nothing but electric. So it is important that we do learn. It'll bring clientele to maybe the shop you're working at. And not just that, I mean, employers or future or potential employees will see this and be like, well, you know, this person is valuable. They have all this knowledge, you know, they'll see you as like literally a key component. But yeah, that is my presentation. See if I can get to the last slide. Thank you for your time. Any questions, any comments, feel free to ask away. I did take some time, I did read a couple books, and I did do some research online to get me the info that I do have and that is shown here. Yeah, again, any questions, let me know. Thank you for your time.